Hi everyone, and welcome back to the Eldritch Archive. Today, we've got another Homebrew. This one comes today from the Vault of Abadar. You can find links to this article, as well as more of her work and website, down in the description below. Make sure to like if you like the video, and subscribe for more like it. Today's Homebrew is about changing up alignment a little bit, making it less about what it currently is, and more about thematics. One part of alignment is that with the way it's worded, people tend to cram it into certain thoughts or certain built-in belief systems. And it sparks no end of controversy, and I'm sure this won't either. However, if you want to have a more ambiguous system without really changing a whole lot, it's really easy to reflavor certain things. And step one of what Vault of Abadar has done here is this flavoring. So instead of good and evil, law and chaos, you have light and darkness and order and, well, chaos. Chaos does tend to fit itself pretty well, so that one doesn't really have to change. And this also frees you up for a lot of thematic and story-driven changes. For example, you may have angels in your game be the bad people, be the bad guys, be the villains. But they would still probably do light damage, for example. Beings of the netherworld or fiends or things like that would still do darkness or shadow damage. Beings that want to either end chaos or put things in a certain organization, whether that be from law to literal placement, might be aligned with order damage. And things that are either just naturally entropic or that seek to tear things down may be chaotic. And these essentially function as good, evil, law, and chaos damage as they normally do. The main difference is that from a writer's standpoint, or from a GM standpoint, these different terminologies take away a little bit of constraint that you might otherwise have from the preconceptions of good and evil. It also makes things less overtly, well, a fiend is always evil, so you can never trust them and they're never a good guy. And the opposite would be true for Celestials. And the various monitors, those neutral aligned outsiders, everybody has their own reasons and are more complex than any given alignment. And so, whether they be characters or NPCs or monsters, everything can be a little more complicated while not being shoehorned into, well, they're lawful evil, so of course they'd never do that, or they're chaotic good, so you can't predict what they're going to do. Beyond this, there's what the Vault of Abadar calls the 3 tiers, and this is also something to keep in mind on these terms of alignment, is that they're creatures that are not born with an inclination, necessarily. They can fall into any alignment with equal ease. And these are referred to in her article as the mortal tier. These are goblins, orcs, humans, halflings, things like that. Their alignment isn't absolute, and there's several different degrees of separation, essentially. She gives a second tier, the touched. This sort of goes back to older school ideas on plain touched creatures and races, where Azamar, Tieflings, Ganzi, Suli, other Geniekin, and sometimes gnomes and fae could fall into this tier where they're a part of a world or connected to a world, not directly, but perhaps in some part, sort of has that world exerting on them in one way or another. Story-wise, this could mean that this external exertion affects this player or character's motivations or drives, or it tries to manipulate them in some way. whether that's good or bad. And then there's the concept tier. These are creatures like angels and demons that are essentially tied to their alignment. In Pathfinder 2nd Edition, a demon is formed by a soul that is truly chaotic evil and warped by the environment of a chaotic evil plane, whereas an axiomite is the same thing but for lawful neutral plane, and so on. These are the least likely to step outside of their alignment, but it's not impossible. And with this loosening of alignment, such as with darkness and light, what is good and evil disconnects from our preconcept of morals or from our social expectation. And this allows for a lot more broadness of concept, where the Archons and the Azada get along on an even lower level than they already dislike each other, or where the Godclaw, in essence, is a far more powerful force because it's more about order than it is any other particular ideal. And sure, demons pretty much are still demons. They're unpredictable, they're corrupting forces, and they're generally in it for themselves. But I think the thing that this article and Homebrew brings up the most is that you can tweak things, and changing the terminology of something while being one of the smallest changes that you can make also can be one of the most freeing things for your story. When there is no good and evil, that's up to you to decide. Is it better to join with the light, or is it better to join with the darkness? Is order better, or should things always fall into chaos, as would seem natural? Or should you strike a balance between those things? Let me know what you think down in the comments below. And go check out the Vault of Abadar. Links are all in the description. Peace.